All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. My brothers and sisters in remote control and rocketry too. It's your crew chief, and tonight we're going to do a video comparison of the MJX 14211 and the Hosim M13 Moxlin. Now, I have no idea what a Moxlin is, so don't ask me. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about specs. And then we're going to move, or my plan is to move from the outside inward and describe the features of each truck without too much editorializing or opinionating. I have opinions. I don't think for this video that I want to express too many of them because I want to give you useful information. And if it's not useful, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's start with the MJX HyperGo 14211. If you've watched my channel at all, you know I love this truck already. So I'm going to try not to have too much bias because this was the first half decent RC anything I ever bought. And I've really enjoyed it. Okay, that said, the MJX has a wheelbase. So center wheel of 7.87 inches or 200 millimeters. From the outside of the tire to outside of the tire, it's listed at 10.39 inches or 264 millimeters. So obviously it's a little bit longer than that overall. We'll say it's probably about 12 inches overall, somewhere in that neighborhood. The width of it, okay, outside of the tire width is 7.4 inches or 188 millimeters. And the height from ground to the top of the skid bars there is 5.28 inches or 134 millimeters. Now, the Hosim is clearly a little bit larger, but believe it or not, the MJX has a longer wheelbase. Hosim doesn't list the wheelbase specifically in their Amazon advertisement or anywhere else I could find it. It's not in the booklet, anywhere I could find it. I got the numbers for the MJX directly from their Amazon sales listing. These are currently unavailable. I'm sure they'll get more in stock. Nevertheless, the Hosim has, when you compare them side by side, when you put them together, and I'll do it in another video, the MJX has a longer wheelbase. Clearly, and we'll get to this, all these things, it also sits lower. It has smaller tires. But back to specs. The Hosim overall length, outside length, is 13 inches or 330 millimeters. Its width is 7.8 inches, so 4/100 of an inch, about half an inch wider, or 198 millimeters wide, and it is obviously taller by about a half inch again, at 5.9 inches or 149.9, about 150 millimeters. All right. Those are the outside specs. Now, let's get to the rest of the comparison. Body shell. The MJX comes with a roll cage with scale type figures, half figures, open, as you can see, cockpit type chassis body, whereas the Hosim is an enclosed, there's no figures, it's just a closed system. We'll get to this later. The MJX has a motor fan. The Hosim does not. It does have a vent here in the front and the hood of the body shell, and it has a heat sink. So we'll have to see how that works for both of these trucks. Okay, both of them have a captured clip system to hold the body on. I'll go ahead and take these off. Both of them have skid bars on top. The Hosim has much beefier, wider, longer. Everything's a little bit more, I don't know the exact word. I don't want to editorialize too much. It's just bigger. It's a little beefier. The MJX is a little more svelte. It's a little more low, sleek, and we've already seen it drive. Neither of them has spares on the back, although you do get spares with both vehicles. The Hosim has molded into the body shell some scale effects like a shovel, a recovery shovel, fire extinguisher, and some sort of, I don't know, fuel cell simulation there. The MJX HyperGo has headlights and then lights in the grill as well that are working, whereas the Hosim only has this light bar on top. No working headlights or lights anywhere else, I don't think. As far as livery, okay, and I understand that the MJX is a budget, and so is the Hosim. These are budget trucks. The livery is going to be familiar to people. I think it's a copy of Traxxas or Arma, somebody's short course truck. I've already been over the lighting, the venting. So again, the Endura has a dust cover, Endura, the MJX has a dust cover over the electronics and the innards. It has a cockpit. It does have a reinforced roll cage in the cockpit, I guess, so this doesn't collapse. Whereas the Hosim has vents cut, and then there are vents that in the back. The louve in the back is, okay, there's actual vents there so air can flow through. Now, will that keep it as cool as, excuse me, as the motor fan on the MJX? We shall see when we do the drive test. So let me take the body shell off of both. And I've disconnected the light already, so, okay, so you see the dust cover here, and then you can see better my two guys. If you've been watching the channel, you know I like to give them silly names, so we may think of some more names. And then you've got your anonymous crew here because we can't see them. But I will say the Hosim shell is, I don't know, it feels a little bit thinner. It doesn't feel quite as sturdy as the MJX does. It's a nice shell. It's you know, the colors are great, vibrant blue. It's got this kind of gray camouflage on there. Again, the vent in the front is very thin, small. We'll see if I have to cut that open a little bit to get more airflow. Hopefully not. I will say one thing. The Hosim came with the protective plastic over the shell, which is fine, except that you'll then have to remove the skid bars from the top by removing everything, all these screws. And, you know, they gave them all Phillips or cross-tip screws, which that's toy level stuff, but we'll forgive them that for now. I got them off. I got them back on. Got all the plastic off. It's got this cool kind of subdued camouflage, gray splatter camouflage look, which I think is pretty cool. And again, you can see some of the molded in features like the shovel and the fire extinguisher. And then the vents in the back are actual vents, whereas on the MJX they are not open. On here they are because There's no other venting or cooling system other than a heat sink and airflow on the Hosim. All right, let's get to the innards, the good stuff. Both of them claim all aluminum oil-filled shocks. Both of them have plastic shock towers. The Hosim is a wider, thicker shock tower by a good bit, by probably 100 thousandths of an inch. The MJX chassis is all aluminum, whereas the Hosim chassis has an aluminum center with plastic, molded plastic for the battery tray, and then extended out on the other side is also honeycomb on the inside, molded plastic. So that honeycomb is going to give it, good isometric strength so that it'll take impacts pretty good. We can talk about isogrid patterns and isometric strength. I think that's pretty cool that they molded that in there. I hope that's intentional because it certainly makes the plastic stronger. I'll have to believe it's intentional, not just some sort of bifunction of the mold, but engineered that way, which is good. But I'm rambling. Motor. All right. The MJX is running with, back here, sorry. This is a 2852 4400 kV motor under here. Both are brushless. The Hosim is running with a 2847 3100 kV. Now, it's a whole nother subject for a whole nother video, but more kVs is not necessarily better. Bigger is not better. How the ESC handles the motor and what battery you're using and all sorts of other things. If your ESC is programmable, have you tuned it? There's a lot of other factors that go with it. These are just the specs. Again, I'm not going to editorialize too much about what's good, what's bad, what's better or worse right now. We are doing a comparison, but just sort of an objective feature for feature comparison. So I think that's abundantly clear. The motor mount on both of these is going to be plastic. There's a good bit of plastic. It's molded plastic. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. On the MJX, you've got adjustable toe, but not camber. And I may be incorrect on that, at least in the front. On the Hosim, I believe both are adjustable. And we'll get to the drivetrain, but both of them have, where it counts, all metal and bearings drivetrain. They're very comparable in that department, although they are significantly different, which is interesting to see. The Hosim wheels and tires are much larger, and it sits much higher. So I think that the MJX is probably running with some probably softer springs, and just the suspension setup is much different. A lot of people change the ride height on the MJX. I haven't really had an issue with it too much. But back to the tires, I will say that the Hosim tires are, in my opinion only, a better form of tire for this kind of truck, because I know they're not really scale, but these pin type tires have better grip. I use pins on my comp crawler, and these have a pin, like a square pin, and at this scale these are going to grip better on surfaces like I have, like my yard and the service road around the detention pond behind my fence. Okay, at this scale, these are going to grip better. These have a more realistic scale look, like they're more like a truck tire, like a BF Goodrich, tire you would see, but they don't necessarily grip better than, they don't necessarily grip the same way a BF Goodrich on a full-size truck would grip on these surfaces. So, the MJX has gyro function. I'm almost certain The Hosim does not. We may add that later. I have a receiver, a radio link. I have a radio link transmitter. Where is my radio link receiver? It's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. So I have a radio link receiver. We may find a way to put the receiver in here somewhere and get the gyro feature. And then, of course, we'll pair it with the fancy transmitter over there. And then we'll add gyro function because that would be a better comparison. I don't really have the specs on the size of the shocks as far as diameter and length, but they're similar. Everything about them is similar. They're both 14 scale, so I feel like they are close enough in scale and size and capability. Both are 3S capable. In fact, the Hosim comes with some really nice 3S batteries. I'll go get one. The Hosim comes with this beefy 3S 2600 milliamp 30C 11 volt 3S battery. I mean, that's wow. They had it in here like this, and then that was bent backwards or something like that. Anyway, I've charged these with a balanced charge. They're ready to go. We just have to find time to run the car. As far as rear bumpers, I mean, the Hosim has this big old giant rear bumper. So if you land on your back end like that, it's stiff. It may be a little bit brittle, but it's going to take a good bit of the shock. The MJX has less of a rear bumper, significantly less. However, it does have the wheelie. The wheels that's going to keep you stable in case you kick a wheelie when you accelerate. The Hosim does not have that. There's the bottom of the Hosim, brand new, it's never been run, so it's got plastic skids in front and back, four-wheel independent suspension, all that stuff. Not true short course truck, but while we're on the subject, I will say I have an HBX or a high boxing 3100 Alpha on the way, and that has a live rear axle. It's got true short course geometry, so we'll see how it compares with these. And I just also bought the DKV SC12 they're calling it, which is honest. Let's be honest, these trucks for the most part are clones of each other. There's going to be a group of them that run this type of body shell, and there's a group of them that run this size and this type of body shell that's enclosed but has the vents with just a heat sink. And then there's some that run in this price range. Oh, speaking of price range, Hosim was $159, MJX was $169. Both were purchased from Amazon vendors. Anyway, the MJX uses a fan on the motor, which, if you ask me, I would say is probably a better cooling system. That's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of space underneath the body shell in the Hosim, so if there's enough airflow, then maybe just the heat sink that it has will be sufficient. As far as brand of motor, I can't see the MJX motor, and the Hosim is branded with Hosim logos all over it and all the regulatory bodies, all those stamps. What else? What have I forgotten? Metal parts. There's lots of claims with these budget kind of entry-level hobby level trucks and RC cars, and there's just been an absolute flood of them in the last, say, 2 years if you're paying attention, which I really just started paying attention this year in January. And then by March, I had built my own crawler from scratch. I printed the chassis, bought the parts, put together a pretty decent crawler. That's going for a spa treatment pretty soon. To Stone City Crawlers, go follow him. Go subscribe to his channel. Stone City Crawlers. Eric at Stone City Crawlers. Go subscribe to him. Anyway, that is our comparison of these two trucks. I hope you've had an enjoyable time listening to me ramble a little bit. I hope you got some useful information. If I think of some more things, I will certainly do another video about them. But those are the things I wrote down in my little script. And you know, we can talk about the transmitters because I have them both here. I should anyway. Oh. This is the transmitter for the Hosim. Okay, it's going to have your throttle trim, steering trim, PC trim, not sure what that is, throttle reverse, steering reverse. And that's about it. It's got foam covered wheel. It's pretty basic shape. It does fit comfortably in my hand, but I will say this grip is pretty wide, and I'm not a small guy. I'm 6 feet tall. So I have decent sized hands, but it fits comfortably in my hand. So if you're a grown man with larger hands, yay for you, it'll fit. Here's the transmitter for the MJX. It's got this fancy cover on it. Similar buttons, except of course we've got gyro feature on here, throttle reverse, steering reverse, all of it, steering trim, throttle trim, steering direction, throttle direction, all that. Gyro setting actually is not on here. It is actually on the gyroscope that's attached to the receiver on the car itself, in the electronics, on the chassis. And again, I'm strongly considering, once I figure out where everything is attached, adding a gyroscopic receiver to the Hosim, the Moxlin M13. All right, what else? Both of them come with extra tires. That's the MJX tire, and I didn't take it out of the package, sorry, but those are the, let's take it out of the package. Why not? Only 3 people are going to watch this video anyway. I appreciate all 3 of you. So there's your comparison. I mean, that's about a 2 and a little bit inch and almost 3 inch. It's hard for me to see. I've got a scale on these in this fancy Endura mat, but I can't really reach it right now. These are significantly larger, so that's a little over an inch, maybe a quarter, compared to almost an inch and a half. Again, inch and 1.4 inches wide, and a much taller wheel, much bigger wheel tire combination. Now I'm still going to run these against each other. The bigger wheels don't necessarily mean better, faster around the corners, or can handle, the same terrain. That I still believe in the comparison being valid, although that is a significant difference in these trucks, and I acknowledge that. Otherwise, they're very similar in scale and very similar in features. I wish that the Hosim had a receiver that I could see outright, rather than an ESC that has a fan, and then I can't find, there goes my script, I can't find I can't find the receiver. Basically, it's basically an all-in-one unit. So we'll just, you know what, man, we'll have to figure that out. I'll have to figure out how to get me a receiver in here, or a new ESC and receiver combination, so that we make this a gyroscopically controlled vehicle. Because guess what? I'm just more of I'm a fan of gyroscopes. I am. I enjoy driving vehicles that have a gyroscope. Now, the Highboxing 3100A that I'm going to receive in a couple of weeks does not have a gyro. However, the DeKV SC12 that will be here Wednesday, it does have a gyroscope. So we're going to have some good comparison videos coming up, I think. I'm going to have a good time naming drivers and teams. We're going to just, we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to do a lot of thinking, and then we're going to do a lot of RC car driving out back here. I have a couple of spots that I want to go to as well with these, where there's some dirt roads near my house. I'd like to see how they do. We'll take some cones and try to get some objective lap time data on how fast they are with comparable batteries. I had to buy 3S batteries for the MJX, and it came with 2S batteries. The Hosim does win in that department. It came with two of these, as I said before, two of these 3S LiPo 2600 milliamp. That's a beefy battery. And I'm definitely not the first to review the Hosim truck. I am the first to do it in this way, I think, maybe. But y'all already know how I feel about the MJX. Hell, I like it so much I printed a box for it. Separate box for these MJX cars with the MJX logo. And I've seen good things about the Hosim. Right off the top of my head, I can say it again. I think the aluminum plus plastic chassis is a good idea. In this case, they did a fantastic job of giving you a hard pack battery. It's got a double strap system. Okay, you get this hard pack battery that fits directly in there. But so what I'm trying to say is, they gave you this really nice battery compartment, and then they didn't skimp on the battery either. They sent for $159. You get a 3S, a big hard side battery pack that fits precisely in there, and that's going to give you a better performing vehicle, because there's less sliding around, there's less weight moving when you're in turns, and a lot of that physics that happens. Everything's a trade-off. I understand that. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Moxlin is faster than the MJX team truck. I call it the team truck. But something tells me that it's going to be a speedy little truck, this Moxlin is, and that it's probably going to have a little bit faster lap time than the MJX. But I still like the looks of the MJX a little bit better. I wish either of them or both of them had spare tires on the back, so they looked a little more like a short course or trophy truck. I wish they had live axle in the back with the trailing arms. But you know what? Let's be honest. Those trailing arms would probably break the way most of us drive these trucks. So, I can understand why the manufacturers are like, let's not do that. However, kudos to Highboxing for the live axle on that scale of truck and making it affordable. I got it for $149. So again, we've got some really good comparisons going. All these trucks are budget trucks, under $200, batteries included. We're going to run them all on 3S. We're going to make laps. We're going to name teams, name drivers. I have some plans for some videos with 3D printed driver figures in meetings and or therapy, a la action figure therapy. If you've ever seen that channel, I'd like to do it for rally car. That may be a little bit too derivative or cloning, but we'll see. I thought it would be funny with rally car drivers, short course truck drivers. Now, if you stuck around this long, I will say that at 200 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway of an LDRC 1898 Porsche 18th scale drift car, brand new in the packaging. I have one of my own, which I've crashed it a few times and broken pieces off it. And now it doesn't even, it has some parts. It runs, but not like it was when it was brand new. But my 200 subscriber, when I have 200 subscribers, I will do a giveaway for another one of the LDRC 1898, brand new in the box, never been opened. I got it expressly for that purpose, which I know is a big departure from the short course trucks I'm talking about right now. But if you stuck around this long, you should know that way. Maybe you'll be around and hopefully you'll win. In other news, I'm sending the Gray Man to Stone City. I mentioned him before. Please go subscribe to his channel. Eric at Stone City is an amazing crawler builder. And he's building my next new crawler. And he's also going to give the Gray Man a spa treatment and get the Gray Man running, doing some of those crazy climbs again. So that's coming up. And the 200 subscriber giveaway is coming up. And you know what? I'm going to drive this truck. I'm going to drive the heck out of this truck in my backyard on the track. We're going to try to get some good lap times. We're going to try to see how fast it really goes. I love these aggressive tires, these pin-like tires. Again, I think at this scale and, my yard terrain, these pins with the wider spaces between them will give this truck better grip and acceleration than the more scale realistic type treads. And I've worn these down a little bit, so we may have to change. Although they're not very deep treads to begin with. So that may be something I need to look into for the MJX, is some type of smaller, some pins like this, so we can get a better comparison. Okay, that's enough for now. Thank you for following and subscribing.